Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast where we where we break down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And today, if you couldn't tell, we're talking obviously about minute 100.
And why are we why are we going because we saw that song on the list of songs and we can't stop doing it. Sorry, everybody.
Yes.
This might be a theme for this minute. Oh no.
Yeah, that might be the unfortunate drop for the number 100 whenever it is spoken. So
Did I say my name? I'm Jeff Glover. Did I say that? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know if you did, Jeff Glover.
Yeah, I think I just wa'ad.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're facing away from the mic when you
Yeah. I might hit my head.
Yeah, might spit up some KY on some stuff.
This show's off to a great start.
We're
really doing well.
We're talking about minute 100. I mean, I don't know, where do you go from minute 100? 100 is such like just a meaningful, universal number to us. Well, universal to us Earthlings. We make a really big deal out of it. But just the only 100 I could think of sport-wise. Well, a couple things. One, when someone scores 100 wickets, it's called a century in cricket.
100 wickets.
How do you do? I don't either. I tried to watch some cricket back in the day when ESPN was really promoting it. They're like, India, Pakistan, catch the cricket fever. And I tried for a couple hours to catch cricket fever.
Couldn't catch it. You were wearing a mask.
Couldn't catch it. Right. I was wearing a GD mask. But the other 100 of note in sports is the top score in a basketball game by Wilt Chamberlain, scoring 100 points in a single game. Unheard of. 100 points.
That still is freaking crazy.
That's insane. So basically he was outscoring on that night like the average score of like a 90s basketball team.
Have you like ever looked into that? Like I never have. Was there a concerted effort by his teammates just to get him to 100? Like did they decide that night like you're going to score 100, or did it just happen organically? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I mean, he was like the Babe Ruth of his time without all the championships. I think he won some championships like past his prime, but Wilt Chamberlain, I remember, was just like so well known for being a prolific scorer. I think this was the season where he averaged 50 points a game.
What the fuck?
And he also, I don't remember if it's this season or a different season. One season he averaged 25 rebounds a game. So the guy was just this gigantomos, this homunculus person off the court and on the court.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wilt the Stilt.
But I think that game is mythical also in the sense that it was not televised, that there was just like reporters there at the game who were reporting that he scored 100 points, and like the famous picture is him sitting in the locker room just holding a piece of paper that says 100.
Can you imagine any major sporting event just not being televised anymore? Like that just doesn't happen. That's so strange.
Right. It would, it'd be, and if something big is happening, then everybody would rush to it anyway. They're like, oh my God, like he has 63 points by halftime. Like we need to throw some sports reporters in there, like even if it's not being televised, but they're all televised all the time, all the way down to like Pee Wee League games, right?
Right. Oh man, how things have changed. Wow, that's a good one. Go Wilt. I'm kind of sad now that I did not live during his era to see. I guess I could go back and watch those games, but that's still an incredible. You know, sometimes these old records don't seem to hold up as well. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know a lot about baseball, but Babe Ruth was kind of a slow fat guy, right? and he just had that brawn and he just hit all those home runs. And I've always wondered, like, could he hit that many home runs off a modern day pitcher? I don't know. Yeah. But I feel like with basketball, I mean, basketball has changed a lot too, but God, like scoring 100 points, whether it was 40 years ago or now, is a ridiculous achievement no matter what. Like that's crazy. Yeah.
Just crazy. Just like every time you're going on the court, you're like, well, yeah, this game, I know it's going to wilt. Like, but
Right.
you clearly can't stop him.
You can't do anything about it.
Can't do anything about it.
So we made it to 100. Good job, us.
Good job, us. 100 minutes in. This is...
Wow.
Yeah, what is it? The Roman numeral C. It's 10 squared. It's the sum of the first 9 primes, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. Fun fact, I didn't realize that the number 1 was not a prime number. That surprised me.
That's true. Yeah, there's a proof of that. I couldn't tell you what it is, but yeah, that's a weird one. It feels like 1 should be a prime number, but it's not.
What else? Oh, it's 100 degrees Celsius. That's the boiling point of water.
Oh.
Benjamins, of course, $100 bill.
Yep.
It's the number for the police in Greece. Dial 100.
You just dial 100? It's like 911
exactly.
in Greece?
Yeah, exactly. Also in India, Nepal, Israel, it's the number for police. It's the number of yards on a football field.
Sure.
There is a Highway 100 in Washington, which is 4 miles long and goes around Cape Disappointment. I don't know if you weren't we talking about you going to Cape Disappointment one time?
I think so. I can't remember why, but it's fitting that the Highway 100 is only 4 miles long around Cape Disappointment.
Cape Disappointment. Boy, that was nothing. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Disappointed.
Probably my favorite thing having to do with the number 100 is the titular 100 Years' War, which actually lasted 116 years between England and France. I didn't really know where to go after saying 99, and we kept talking about 1999. So I just rolled over the calendar, and now 100 to me is going to represent the year 2000. Hope that's okay with you.
I think that's fine. Let's do it. We're looking at the last 2 digits, right? 00. Yeah.
Y2K, right?
Yeah, and all you listeners out there, that's what we're doing, so get on board.
Yeah. Or go somewhere else. Just kidding. I'll cut that out. Ooh, Reset.
The year 2000 was the first year I ever voted in a presidential election.
Hey, must have been me too.
Yeah.
Because we're like the same age.
And I should have moved to Cape Disappointment.
Yeah, it's weird when your president that you're voting for wins the popular, but not this weird kind of fictitious electoral vote like it happened, I don't know, in 2016?
And was decided by the Supreme Court, and they were hanging Chads. And
Chads are the worst.
Oh, Chads are the worst.
Chads and Karens. Hanging Karens.
Hanging. Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, don't go there.
Music.
God.
What was happening with music in the year 2000, John?
It's weird because I feel like we had this awesome run of all this music, and I was saying I have this CD and I have that CD, and I listened to this CD so many times, or this old tape in the 90s, and then we hit 2000. This year was weird. My note was that in making this music list, I realized that I will never, ever seek out any of these songs for a re-listen. I just said it's tripe across the board. And then I added to you later on, like maybe for like novelty effect. Like I'll throw in some of these, like Who Let the Dogs Out, Bye, 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 Oops, I Did It Again, Limp Bizkit songs. I mean, these are all like kind of basically parody songs now.
Well, this is the weird time, right? Like we are full on into the NSYNC Backstreet Boys-ification of music right now, right? Like that is happening full bore, and the alternative rock grunge is pretty much gone at this point, but it has to be replaced by some sort of rock. So in comes like
some kind of new rock,
some
maybe
sort of new metal, like the Limp Bizkits, the Disturbs, the Systems of a Downs. Christ. So we get a lot of that in here too, and I'm with you. There's not a lot of music here that I would ever purposefully revisit. I will point out a couple that I were listening to at the time and that I still think are worth listening to. Love 'Em or Hate 'Em, the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem is one that I still listen to on occasion. So that was one I really liked at the time. Although it's that thing with Eminem where you have to kind of like you have to sort of take it at arm's length, right? You if you think too much about the the content of the lyrics, then you won't want to listen to it because some of the things he's saying is horrible.
Yeah.
But you also got you've also got the Dr. Dre album, the Chronic 2001, I believe. You've got Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I liked that album, still do. You got Down with the Sickness. Never mind, I hate that song. And a little sort of guilty pleasure of mine from this era is Nelly. I love Country Grammar. I love that first Nelly album.
I had that one for sure. I wore that one out.
Unapologetically, I will listen to some Nelly. So, yeah. But that's about it, man. When you go through this list, so for our listeners out there, we're looking at stuff like Say My Name, Bye Bye Bye, Who Let the Dogs Out, Teenage Dirtbag.
All the small, you have your Blink 182.
All the small things. You got some Creed songs, you got some Three Doors Down songs, you got some Disturbed songs, some Limp Bizkit songs. Yeesh.
Ooh, I would say, okay, I'm looking towards the end of my list, and okay, yeah, I put One More Time by Daft Punk. That's one where I would solidly put that in the recommend pile of...
I do like Daft Punk. I would agree with you.
Yeah, this is like, for me, this is like starting to be the turning point where I start listening to like a lot more dance music, a lot more electronic music. This kind of 2000, 2001 era, especially. A friend in 2001, and I'll talk about that next episode, but the next episode.
Hey, yay, yay, yay.
Hey, hey, smoke weed every day. But yeah, like Daft Punk like is just coming out with their some of their first hits, and One More Time is like their first, I would say, really, really big one that takes hold, and they released their CD the following year. But I remember listening to this song a lot, but on that CD next episode.
I do want to get in there that in terms of popular music, you and I are not that impressed by the 2000 music list, but I was pretty into music at this time, and there was a lot of other music I was listening to that wouldn't have made a popular music list, but I listened to a lot of like kind of West Coast underground hip hop at the time. I was kind of doing some DJ work around my college town that I lived in. I had a pair of turntables, and I would play music at different music venues on occasion. And so I was listening to a lot of stuff like Jurassic 5 and Blackalicious and Hieroglyphics and these West Coast kind of underground hip hop groups that got real popular for a while if you listen to that sort of music. So I don't want to shit all over the year 2000 too much, because there's good stuff to be found. It's just not going to be on your top 100 Billboard chart list, Yeah.
Huh, cool.
And I'm sure that's true in other genres too. So anyone out there that is fans of other genres, I'm sure you're yelling at your podcast right now.
Yeah.
Things that I'm missing.
Yeah, like you didn't talk about Creed.
Oh.
With arms wide open.
Arms wide open.
Wow. Bring it back around. 2000 for me was not a huge year for games, so you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of going edgy with some of your first-person shooters like Time Splitters, and you're going more realistic with like things like Rainbow Six.
Mm-hmm.
You have the excellent spiritual sequel to GoldenEye, which is Perfect Dark, made by pretty much all the same people.
Yep.
I remember Zach and I just played that a ton, and he became so good at that. Like he would set up like these matches with all these bots at like the highest level, and he could take them all out. He was pretty Matrixy with that game.
Yeah, that was a fun game. This is a moment in time where this begins a period in my life where I kind of transitioned away from video games for a while. Mm-hmm. And part of it was because I just couldn't afford it. I was in college. At this point, my parents were not helping me anymore because my sister was in college. So now I was on student loans, and I was working and putting myself through school. And so we had an N64 in our house, but this is in the transition to the next generation. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't afford to buy the next Xbox or the next GameCube or whatever. And So I kind of stopped playing video games for a while. We had Perfect Dark for the N64, but and I played that quite a bit. But starting around now and for like the almost next decade, I kind of got away from video games for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were any of these games big for you other than Perfect Dark, or is that about it?
That's about it. Yeah. In 2000. Yeah. I think 2001 is another big turning point. Kind of like music would be for me, but video games too, because 2001, that's when like the GTA 3 comes out and hits the PlayStation 2, and like everybody loses their mind, including me and my brothers. We're like, I can't believe it, but we'll talk about that the next episode. So leave 2000 games in the dust. I think we did it.
Dust, yeah.
What about some movies that stood out to you, Jeff? What stood off this list besides "Dude, Where's My Car"?
Sweet,
dude. What? But what's it say?
Sweet.
What's mine say?
Dude.
By the way, for the listeners, I don't know if you know this, but occasionally Jeff and I will be texting each other, and we'll end the conversation with like a dude to the other one, and the other one responds sweet, and then goes dude, and then we go sweet until we basically have to go to bed.
I posted a screenshot of one of those conversations to the Palapa. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
This is also kind of an interesting movie list. Lots of ups and downs here. Mm-hmm. The ones that stick out to me, in terms of like some bigger blockbusters that I also really liked, I would say Gladiator and Castaway are high up there. I love Almost Famous. That's a great movie. Mm-hmm. I remember liking Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but I've never watched it since. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Great. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I cannot... Well, I'm going to come back. There's a specific movie on this list I'm going to come back to. But so let's see. We'll keep going here. See, a lot of these I never even saw. The Ninth Gate, Romeo Must Die, The Skulls. I may have seen The Skulls on VHS. But there's a lot of kind of sort of... It's a weird mixture with the pop music going on. I feel like there's a lot of pop movies here. You know what I mean? Like Final Destination, Romeo Must Die, The Skulls. Like these were all movies kind of made for like teenagers, you know?
Yeah, I would say this is like your Generation X of movie appeal, where like the stars and maybe some of the creators are these Generation X types with like a little bit of that angst, that leftover teenage angst taken out. Like when I think about things like you're saying, Romeo Must Die, I might even throw Coyote Ugly on there. As
sure.
Kind of these movies with a big edge to them. The Skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will point out a couple of my own sort of personal faves here. Mm-hmm. Where was... Oh, Best in Show, I think is a great comedy.
Yes.
And if you've never seen Best in Show, please go back and watch it. It's fantastic.
Starring the Shits, right?
That's right. Stars
Johnny and Moira.
Yeah, it's great. High Fidelity is one of my favorite films. It's also a great book, and Jack Black gives a performance in that movie that is one for the ages as a supporting character. Mm-hmm. And then I cannot leave this list without bringing up probably this movie, because of the time period it came out and the fact that we had it on VHS in our house and that we all loved it. I've probably seen this movie more than any other movie in my entire life.
Oh man,
so that's true. This is Boiler Room.
What? That's the movie you've probably seen the most?
I've probably seen Boiler Room more times than any other movie in my life. And that includes like Frozen and Frozen 2.
Oh my God. Are you still watching this like these days?
In college, in the year 2000, I lived in a house. It was a 5-bedroom house. 6 of us lived there. We had a pretty good sized VHS collection because we all had our own VHSs that we stacked up, you know. Mm-hmm. Boiler Room was one of them. And for whatever reason, that movie was playing in our house on a loop. And it has so many quotable lines. and parts to it that are easy to memorize and lines that you can say like to each other that we would quote Boiler Room to each other constantly.
Can you give me a quote? Because I don't really know the movie.
Oh my God, there's so many. You're a Jew with the mind of a champion. God, I'm a judge for Christ's sake. Lift up your skirt and grab your balls. That's another one.
Oh man,
have you ever seen Boiler Room?
Maybe a long time ago. I recognize the movie cover.
It's
early Vin Diesel.
It's very bro-y, but it's good. So Giovanni Ribisi plays a guy who goes and joins basically like a chop shop, stock selling company. And you've got your Vin Diesel, you got your Ben Affleck, you've got
Affleck.
Yeah, all these kind of like that guys from the early 2000s playing all these young, money hungry guys trying to sell people bad stocks. And Giovanni Ribisi is the son of a legitimate like judge. And anyway, it's basically the story of him like getting into this company, finding out that they're bullshit, and then all the aftermath.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
You set us up. It's all bullshit.
It's not a great movie by any means, but it is a good movie. Like it's a good movie, but it doesn't deserve to be watched 300 times. But that's what happens. So,
oh man,
I'm not going to apologize for it.
That's good. Wow, Boiler Room,
the movie I've seen more than any other movie.
That is amazing.
No one would ever guess it.
No, I was not going to guess that. I would have said something like, I don't even know. Rules of Engagement.
The Thing, Evil Dead. Yeah,
I was just thinking from this year. Yeah, even
right. Yeah.
Gosh, I think a couple standouts for me are superhero movies. I really like that first X-Men movie, the first one and the second one. This is really not necessarily Marvel, but I guess this is a Fox property at the time, X-Men. But they come out with that first movie with Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, and you just don't have any idea like how big of a deal this is going to be. Right. Like, and so it almost comes off like when you watch it, it almost comes off like a little low budget indie movie more than anything else. You couldn't compare that X-Men with like the Marvel movies of today, but it's really helping kick off that superhero craze, because X-Men 2 comes out, I think 3 years later, if I remember correctly, maybe 2 years. But that one, and then there's this littler known, I would say, superhero movie, which I didn't know about until I listened to This Movie a couple of years ago, and I didn't realize what movie it was. It's this M. Night Shyamalan movie, Unbreakable.
Yeah, Unbreakable. Yeah, Unbreakable's pretty good.
It was like surprisingly good, because I was a big fan of Sixth Sense and Signs, and that's about it from him. And then I'd heard about Unbreakable, and then I'd seen early the reviews back in 2000 where people are just tearing it up. But when you watch it now, it is such a cool little story of a superhero and a villain, but done in an M. Night, like a classic M. Night way, where it's just really intriguing and thrilling and suspenseful. I would say end to end, where he has a twist, and it's really well done, and it's about superheroes somehow, and you're just like, okay, this is cool. Okay, like I do like certain superhero movies if they're done, in the right style.
Yeah, it's cool. And did you ever see any of the sequels to Unbreakable?
No, I couldn't be bothered with that. They just seem to go, a bit too big for my taste. I kind of like some of these movies at like kind of the smaller scale. Not all of them. Sure. Sometimes I like a big scale, but sometimes I really like kind of that more intimate scale. And like I said, the early M. Night stuff. I haven't seen a lot of late night stuff.
Yeah, the follow-ups are interesting because like there was a movie called Split, which was sort of a sequel. Like it was really a standalone film until you get to the third act, and they kind of like tie it together into Unbreakable. But then the third film, which came out like in not that long ago, 2019 or 18, I think, called Glass, kind of brings Unbreakable and Split together, and it's sort of the third in the trilogy. And it was Okay. I've never wanted to go back and rewatch it. I've never felt compelled to rewatch it, but it was interesting to kind of see them try to kind of pull these different stories all together.
Okay.
But I agree. Unbreakable is by far the best of the three, I think.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, you at least hold it highly compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got for sequels, John? What's happening here?
God, sequels are just going the way of the dodo, I would say, at this point, in terms of like quality and staying power. Like, people are probably not hanging around and really adoring things like Next Friday or Flintstones 2, Nutty Professor 2, Highlander 4, Urban Legends 2. I would say Blair Witch 2. Blair Witch 2 stood out to me as a weird sequel in that it's completely different than the first movie, where the first movie is founding this idea or this method of found footage, and it goes more to like the steady cam, handheld cam Blair Witch 2 does, and like third person mode, and like was really taking me aback, because even though like I was terrified by Blair Witch 1, there was some stuff to like about it, I thought, even though I don't like scary movies. And like Blair Witch 2 just totally goes into this kind of sequelitis game where it's like, we're going to go bigger and better and totally different than the first one. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah. Fun fact, I've never seen Blair Witch 2.
Yeah.
For years, I people told me it wasn't very good, so I just never got around to watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different. It has a lot more. I'll say this, when I'm talking about the Generation X-ness, like Blair Witch 1 doesn't feel Generation X at all.
Yeah.
But like Blair Witch 2 feels like it takes on those kind of tropes of like here's like the edge to everything, and everybody has attitude, and everybody's so mean to each other. It's like, so that's not what they don't need that. You need.
I'm angsty. I hate my parents.
I listen to Disturbed. Exactly. And then there's, of course, Mission Impossible 2. I would say the worst of the Mission Impossible movies. Having seen all of them, it's by far like the worst in my opinion.
Is that the John Woo one? I think it is, with the slow motion motorcycles.
John Woo.
Oh, all right. I think we did a pretty good job there with the year 2000 pop culture.
I think we did it. I think we took the number 100 and the year 2000 pretty well.
Yeah. Should we talk about Predator?
Let's talk about Predator. Can I talk about like the thing I did with the words there?
Yeah, do it. I'm super curious to learn about this.
This has been on my mind for a while. When you're thinking about Predator, you're thinking like one of the things you're thinking is like, I need to make a Wordle of the entire script.
Of course.
If you're not familiar with the Wordle is just like the proper name of what you call like a word cloud, when you smush all the words together, and like the words that are showing up more frequently appear larger in the word cloud. So I took the whole script, which was, I think we've been referencing this. I found a Word document that had all the script just like typed out line for line, word for word, which was nice. Took those, copied it into one of these word cloud sites, and I produced this beautiful, what I chose the color scheme to be, red and green, of course, like the movie.
Good job with that.
Thanks. To find out what were the most frequently used words in Predator. You probably already read the list, right?
I'm looking at your Wordle word cloud right now. It's a beautiful thing. We should post that onto the Palapa.
We will. Target's the center of the Palapa, and I'll get there.
And what's the big word right in the middle?
The big word right in the middle. The second most used word in the script after "got," I'm not going to count "got," what a garbage word, is Mac.
Mac.
Mark. Then you have get, come, major.
I guess it's nothing major.
It's nothing major. Time, which surprised me. I don't remember them saying the word time a lot.
Yeah.
I know anytime, but that's, I think, its own word.
Anytime.
Anyway, you have, after time, you have Dylan. Dalen. You have know, like to know something, K-N-O-W. You have Billy. Like, see, Dutch. Men, one, gonna, hell, man, can, chopper or choppa, Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper!
Hawkins, something, and thing. So these are all words that are used 8 or more times in the script. That's the complete list right there.
It's great that Hawkins is one of them in there. That's
great. Most of the team is there. Mac, Dylan, Billy, Dutch, Hawkins. That's 5 out of the 7. We don't have Blaine, and we don't have Poncho.
Here's a good game that I would suggest to our listeners who may see this on the Palapa eventually. Mm-hmm. Just start making up sentences out of the words that you see around the edges of the Wordle. And you got some pretty fun stuff happening here. I'm looking at one right now. It says, fucking come make got style minister bullshit. Damn.
Minister bullshit.
You set us up. It's all bullshit.
I also like how on the right side, just tilted down, is the word motherfucker.
Yep. On the left, you have kill pussy hopper.
Yeah.
Just kill pussy hopper.
Just kill pussy hopper. Pretty great. Nice job with that. What a fun idea. Yeah. So Check that out. We'll post that picture to the Palapa, and you guys should check that out. That's pretty fun.
And because I had to put the most frequently used words, I also built a very, very short list of the words only used once in the script. There are a lot of words used only once. It's an economic script, to say the least. It uses the minimum of words to push across the story. So here's some of the words that really stood out to me, used only once in the entire movie. You have woman, Tyrannosaurus, transponder, ticket, targets, as in...
Target's the center of the Palapa.
Target's the center of the Palapa!
Target's the center of the Palapa. That's the one. You have payback time.
Payback time.
Hey, there's a time. You have Palapa, of course.
Palapa.
Libya, invasion, hombres, helicopter. Notice there's the word helicopter, but chopper is one of the most used words. So clearly they're going off of what can only be described as military slang for a helicopter, which is chopper. Goodbye, earth, duck, dump, demon, and cheese.
It's a great last 3. Dump, demon, cheese.
We've all done that after a Taco Bell run. We've all had to dump some demon cheese.
No.
That's payback right there. That's payback
Sunday afternoon hangover run.
Yes. I can't recall right now, what is goodbye? When do they say goodbye?
Oh God, that's a good question.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back to that one maybe. Like that one stood out to me as like I can't remember when they said that in the script.
Maybe somewhere in the first act when they're just having lots of conversation.
Yeah, like goodbye. Like I'm just gonna like he doesn't say goodbye when he hangs up on Blazer 1.
Is there a goodbye in any of Hawkins' jokes?
Oh, maybe. I can actually go find it right now. Goodbye. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mac says it. Mac says it to Blaine as he's putting his body to rest. He says, goodbye, bro.
Goodbye, bro.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Should we jump into this minute?
We should. It's Predator Minute. We should start talking about minute 100 of Predator. Minute 100 opens with Dutch rousing himself awake. What's happening? And it ends with the Predator looking away from Dutch, just casually avoiding eye contact at the end of this minute. Sneaky Predator.
First part of this minute we're going to discuss is about 0 to 26 seconds. We carry over from last minute. We see a close-up of Dutch's face, eyes closed, lens flare on his face, flames crackling in the background. The giant log, would you rather, we dubbed it, that was once resting on the Predator now begins to creakily move.
Creak.
We cut to Dutch rousing awake and then looking towards the felled log and the Predator. Dutch picks up a good-sized rock, grunts as he walks to the fallen log, and the Predator raises the rock above his head and then pauses while holding that rock high above. End first section. So, Dutch is okay. He's gotten up. He's moving.
Yeah,
and we just saw the giant log, the would you rather, fall on the predator.
He rouses himself pretty quickly. I want to bring up a point that Joseph Parker brought up in the Predator Minute listeners pull up. Targets the center of the Wappa. Joseph Parker, bless his heart, he says, I have to scroll way down because people are just going bananas on the Predator listeners.
Again for you. There you go.
What is that wet sound? Roland on the Twitter was like, what is that sound? That's a good question, Roland. I don't know, and I probably don't want to know. Gross. Oh, I don't see his note on here, but at one point, Joseph Parker was making, maybe it was not Joseph Parker, sorry.
I think he commented on the, when you posted the minute.
Oh, okay, about Dutch, like, playing coy. Yeah, Joseph Parker, yes, he says, I'm inclined to believe Dutch is crawling as a strategy, not because he's too hurt. In the next few minutes, I have a feeling we'll be seeing him walking or running just fine. I think that walking or running just fine is adrenaline, Joseph and other people. I think that he picks up the rock here after he rouses himself. I don't think this, because that would maybe suggest that this is like kind of a fake little catnap he's taking at the beginning of minute 100. I don't think that's fake at all. I think he's exhausted. He thinks he's won, and his body is just finally giving him that break. But then as soon as that log starts moving, would you rather, a little bit to his left, and he kind of slowly looks over, kind of like when your kids wake you up and you're like, is it really that time to wake up? He immediately grabs a rock, like you do with your kids. He grabs that rock, holds it above, and then has to pause. But I think he's just exhausted, and that adrenaline is just, flown through his system just enough to cause him to pick up the killing rock.
No, I agree. I mean, you think about all he's been through in the last couple minutes, and the adrenaline is flying high. The log comes crashing down, and it seems like he has killed the predator right there. And so it's not hard to believe that he would lay down against this tree and just let his shoulders down, close his eyes, and just let that exhaustion start to roll over him. But yeah, as soon as he sees that log, shimmying, then boom, his eyes are open and he's snapped out of it and grabs that rock. He's going to go see if he can finish this guy off.
What? I didn't have much else. I noticed that I've watched this minute quite a few times, as we do. I noticed that the thing that seems to really stoke him is when he hears the predator start to click, like make little clicking sounds. Like,
right.
Indicating that the predator still lives. Like, it's not just post-mortem twitching that's moving the log over there. It's the predator is still beating green blood through his what must be a green heart.
Yeah. You mentioned in your notes that we get kind of a excuse me, a little bit of a Jaws ripoff here with the dun in the score, right as we see that log shimmy and Dutch's eyes start to wander back over there. And I hadn't noticed that until you mentioned it, and now I can't unhear it when I watch this section. But it is like a very classic dun. And luckily they just do it one time. They don't keep it going over and over again. But
it doesn't become quicker and quicker. Like
right. It's not a guy playing a cello behind the tree.
What the hell?
It's just a guy. There's a movie where they do that gag where there's a guy like in a tuxedo playing a cello in the water. Maybe it's like Hot Shots or maybe one of the Naked Gun
something
movies.
like that, because they were never like officially Jaws spoofs, which now surprises me thinking about how spoof heavy like 80s and 90s were.
Right.
How was there never a Jaws, like I don't even know what you'd call it, kind of a spoof? I don't know. But
yeah, that is surprising. Yeah.
Listeners, once you find that and you know what Jeff is talking about with the guy in the water playing the cello.
What am I thinking of, listeners? What is that?
Or was it a dream induced by Taco Bell? He had the demon cheese.
Did I dump out my demon cheese and then come up with this thing in my head? No, there is I'm thinking of something. So I'm putting it out to you, listeners. What is Jeff Glover thinking of? I'll let you decide. It's a new segment on our show.
What is Jeff thinking? I love that segment.
All right, should we jump to the? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'd say the last thing we see is Dutch continuing. Sorry, or Arnold continuing his just excellent face acting throughout the movie. It starts here, not starts here, but it continues here at the beginning of the minute with him just drowsily looking over, like giving that totally exhausted look and he converts it to kind of like a pained and anger and wanting to finish the job face. And right before he brings the rock down on the Predator at the end of the 26-second mark, you see him like kind of making like a mix of like an angry but also kind of surprised face, and we don't know what he's looking at. We don't know what he's seeing yet. Why in the world why is he just not bringing down this justice upon this vile demon Predator?
Well, let's get to it, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's probably a really cool sight that he sees. So what's going on, Jeff?
All right, second part of the minute. Second 27 all the way to the end. As Dutch holds the rock high up in the air, we see the Predator in a close-up, bleeding his green KY jelly blood all over himself.
Ugh.
The flames still crackling in the background. Cut back to a now surprised Dutch, still holding the rock. Cut back to the Predator, spitting, not swallowing, green KY blood onto his own face. Breathing laboriously, cut back to the extreme close-up of Dutch, now lowering the rock and looking more critically at his enemy. We see the bird's eye view of Dutch tossing the rock harmlessly aside. Cut back to critical Dutch. What does he say, John?
What
the hell are you?
Cut back to Predator vision, and then back to the close-up of the Predator's face, and then we hear the Predator say, "What the hell are you?"
Nice.
Cut back and forth between their two faces and end of minute. This is a pretty awesome scene right here.
It is an awesome scene, and it just raises more questions, which I think in the right movie's hands, like that's a good thing. Sometimes it can be infuriating to have lots of questions come up, like why did they do this? Why did they do that? If the rest of the movie is not satisfying, but I feel like the rest of this movie is so satisfying that it's okay to ask questions like, why does Dutch not just smash the Predator in the face with this this taking care of rock business?
Yeah, that is a strange choice. I understand him not smashing the Predator right away in that moment because the Predator seems so helpless, so injured, stuck underneath this log. But I don't think I would just toss the rock to the side and let it roll down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Wouldn't you maybe just hold on to it for insurance?
Right, just in case the Predator has one more trick up the sleeve. Like,
yeah, maybe not just haphazardly just throw it down the hill.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe he has like a hidden knife on him or something like that. Like you don't know.
You don't know.
Oh.
Oh, excuse me. Cut that out.
You got it.
What I am struck by in the scene is just we get a pretty long close up of the Predator's face here with the green KY blood all over him. I'm struck by how good it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like how great that Predator costume design was and how realistic it looks. Like even in this extreme close-up of his face, it does not look like plastic and latex to me. Like it looks organic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of the things that is just what's made this movie endure is like, you don't watch this part and laugh at the bad special effects.
Mm-mm.
You don't watch this part and be like, oh, look at that goofy rubber suit. Like that does not happen here. Like that is a legitimately realistic looking and terrifying alien covered in this green goo. And like, it's quite impressive what they pulled off with the creature design. I know we've talked about it endlessly, but it's just reinforced here. I think it's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of different things going on there for sure, because not only do you still have the animatronic face with like however many remote controllers John McTiernan said they had. I think he said like 6 or 7 people are controlling just the face. Mm. But now you have like this green goo squirting everywhere, and you have what is obviously Kevin Peter Hall's eyes poking out, and him having to like close them so he doesn't spit up the green goo in his eyes like you would if you were like a real alien spitting up your own blood. You'd be kind of like closing the eyes. I think that's really what marries it all together, is like just that the real eyes and back there, and he's wearing some kind of amazing contacts clearly, right? So you can see the eyes, or the eyes themselves are animatronic, and I haven't heard anything in the commentary about that. But if they are, that's an amazing job they did, because the eyes are just so lifelike. Whereas if the eyes are a little bit off, that's going to throw the whole thing off, and like you're going to notice kind of rubber or foam in that costume. But yeah, this is clearly a creature suffering, and maybe that's also, like you're saying, part of the reason Dutch has to throw the rock is he's taken so aback by this creature's costume design. Like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe how realistic this looks. Like, I can't just smash it. I'm not assassin. I'm a rescue team. Like,
we're a rescue team, not assassins.
Maybe he's thinking, maybe like a little 1% part of Dutch is thinking like, the good guys have to do in movies is like, well, I have to give an effort to save the bad guy, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
kill him outright.
He is pinned under a log. He's covered in his own disgusting blood. He's clearly suffering and hurt. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there. Maybe I'll forgive Dutch for throwing that rock down the hill. Maybe he just looks so vulnerable and so close to death that he feels no fear here.
Right. It's kind of like Luke throwing the lightsaber at the end of Return of the Jedi. Instead of finishing off Vader, it's like, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. And then, the Emperor shocks him and all that. But I really like the shot of him. I even copied and pasted the shot, the aerial shot here, the bird's eye view shot of Dutch tossing the rock. It's an interesting choice to compose a shot like this, where you have looking straight down. You're not looking at Dutch and the Predator and the log in the center of the frame. You have Dutch kind of in the upper left corner. You have the log. Now you see the size of the log. The log is gigantic. Would You Rather is it's bigger than the Predator. So let's just say that.
Predator is stuck. Yeah.
The Predator looks kind of like a smushed slug underneath this thing, but the way this top down makes it appear is like you clearly see Dutch as the victor here. Dutch is standing over him. And really any other kind of camera angle probably wouldn't work very well. Like, you couldn't have a good side shot of the two of them in this pose. You couldn't have a good, like, I don't know how else you would say it, like looking over Dutch's shoulder where you have Dutch in the foreground. It just, I don't think is as effective as something like this where you have the whole thing in frame, and they clearly have the right side of the frame opened up. So I guess you can see the log or the big rock rolling off into the downhill area.
Yeah, and the aerial shot is, like you said, it's well composed, and it's a cool effect with that glowing green blood on there. Like, it doesn't look artificial. Like, they do a good job of making that look organic and lifelike in that shot. Yeah,
and I don't think you see another shot like that really in the movie. I think the last overhead shot I could really think of was specifically the stick around scene where the guy's sneaking up behind Arnold, and as Arnold is going from post to post, there's firing like down range, and the guy's sneaking up behind him, and you have the overhead shot kind of tracking Dutch, and then it switches to the face to face, like throwing the knife through the guy and saying "stick around."
Stick around.
Right. If you look at that overhead shot and you freeze it, you can see the Predator's arm is not stuck under the log. On the right side, you see that? So might be a little bit of a foreshadowing there to the next minute. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's holding the log, and you see this the razor claws. What is it? The wrist blades still there, but it definitely has more of an impotent look right here versus like when he was, extending them, coming around, taking care of business to where Dutch was just a minute ago. Really.
Mm-hmm. What do you make of Dutch's line of dialogue here? What the hell are you?
What the hell are you?
It's not a question. It's not. I've listened to this line a bunch. He doesn't say, "What the hell are you?" He's just saying, "What the hell are you?"
What the hell are you?
Yeah, and it's interesting that, it's not a quip, it's not a one-liner, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's this is like a genuine line of dialogue that we're getting from the character, who is genuinely confused and is wondering what this creature is. Is it a creature from Earth? Is it not? I think he still doesn't know.
What the hell are you?
I think that is exactly it. I think he's confused. He doesn't know. We're not going to know.
Yeah.
He knows that he's talking to an alien that is very, very unlikely to understand him. So this line is probably more for him. And he's going to have quite the shock here when Predator just repeats his words back to him. There's a lot of debate online about the Predator actually understanding him and saying this back. I don't think so. I have no faith that the Predator understands what he's saying. There's quite a bit in the Xenopedia article about Predator's speech that would also be in my favor. Whereas I think a lot of people want to romantically think that, these two characters are facing off and they're just realizing how much of a match they are for each other. I don't think that's it. I think it kind of lends itself to that. Like if you like that kind of scene in a movie where two characters are like, we're not that different. I think that's kind of a dumb thing in my mind. I never really liked that kind of
I agree with
character
you. Right?
development.
I always felt like because we've gotten a couple moments in the movie where the Predator has mimicked the humans around him.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's all that's happening here. Like he's taking in this language and he's just regurgitating it back at him, just because that's what he does. He kind of records or listens to their language and then tries to say it himself. He doesn't know what it means. There's not enough context there for him to know what it means. He's just collecting the language, the same way he's collecting the skulls. He's just taking recordings. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to take his knowledge with him. So
right,
he's just gonna use what's at his disposal here. It's just an interesting tactic, I think, to repeat back the people's words. For some people, for some instances, it was to kind of set the trap more, like with Dylan and Mac, where he was using. Go ahead, Dylan.
Mac.
Thank you, Dylan.
Dylan.
Mark. But he was using Mac's voice to kind of lure Dylan out, but he wasn't saying anything to Dylan. Here he's just repeating what Dutch is saying to him. And I think, like I said before, a good movie is going to also give you some questions to think about. Why is he doing it? How much does he understand? We're never going to know. We're never going to know.
Never going to know. And it's okay for them to leave that open. That's one of the good things about this movie is they leave a lot of things unexplained. And I think that's great. Like it's a compact story where you don't need to muddle things with a bunch of backstory. Like we can, as the audience, can just try to fill that in with our imaginations. And that's what's fun about it. So I think that's good restraint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well done, McTiernan and co.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little reference to McTiernan, by the way, in the commentary. He says literally nothing this entire minute, so I don't have any insight into this.
Thanks,
so
John.
McTiernan, really stepping up there, and I think secretly he likes this movie more than he lets on. If he's going to go these times just not saying anything, I don't think he doesn't have anything to say. I think he's more entertained by this movie than.
He's just watching. He's cracking a beer. He's enjoying himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Just him and the boys, and by boys I mean beers.
That's what I call my beers because I have no friends.
You have the podcast. I have no friends.
I have a little Seahawks gnome in front of me here.
Last thing I'll talk about for this minute, because I'm just about all out of stuff, I think, is the script is becoming even more and more exciting only really have a couple more pages after this. This is the part of the script where Dutch has thrown the Predator's weapon into the closing hatch of the spaceship. The hyperdrive is starting to fire up in the Predator's spaceship, but all of a sudden, the weapon hits the control panel in the spaceship. The spaceship starts making some very troublesome whining noises, and then Dutch realizes the ship is about to explode. Dot, dot, dot. We'll have to see what happens in the next page in the next minutes. It's going to really line up with what's going on in the movie, I think.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Really going for that big finish.
Really going for the big finish. And like I said before, the script really reaches to paint Dutch and the Predator as one and the same, as like, we're not so different, you and I. Like,
interesting.
Predator's face looks very human-like, and there's a scene at the beginning and a scene at the end that show the helicopter being compared to like the spaceship, and then Dutch being compared to the Predator. But we'll talk about that another time.
Sure.
I think I'm all done talking about minute 100 for Predator. I don't know about you, Jeff.
I think we did a very good job.
Yeah.
Should we get to recommends?
Yeah, let's go to recommend. So, Jeff, what are you recommending for the listeners of this week?
I'm going to keep this one short. I've been watching a lot of oldies but goodies this October. I think I'm just in the mood for comfort movies, things that I know I'm going to like. I don't want to waste my time with something that may or may not be good. Mm-hmm. So, I've been watching a lot of my favorites. And the other night, I watched motherfucking Blade 2.
Oh.
And God, that movie is just a ton of fun. That is, it's the perfect intersection of action and horror and a little bit of silliness. I was really I didn't even realize I was in the mood for it, but boy, was I ever. So I really enjoyed rewatching Blade 2. I've always loved the Blade movies, all their faults aside. But, so yeah, that's my recommend. If you haven't watched Blade or Blade 2 in a while, check out those movies. They kick ass.
Yeah, I think if I remember, we referenced Blade a little bit. That would have been back in 98, and Blade 2 is 2002, so that's still to come. Nice choice. I definitely remember like that. I think you were talking about action horror movies. That definitely fits the bill.
Because Blade definitely has its action, but I think the original Blade, which is great, is a little darker, has some good action sequences, but also has long stretches of kind of sort of moody, dark, storytelling. Whereas Blade 2 just kind of just comes out of the gate, guns blazing, swords flying, and never really lets up. And so in that sense, it's super fun,
Right.
And so it's Guillermo del Toro, so it's a beautiful looking movie. Like, he's a good director. So. Oh,
that's true. I don't know how I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Makes sense with like all the gore and fantastic creature effects.
Right.
Is Blade 2 the one with the vampires whose mouths open like 3 different ways, not just the one way? Oh, good God, yeah. Definitely Del Toro.
Yeah, definitely Del Toro. Yeah, the CGI is a little suspect at times. You can tell they were stretching the budget in places. But you know what? Who cares? Just forgive that. It's a fun ride. So Sweet. I'm recommending Blade 2 this week, because why the hell not? Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'll be recommending a movie too, not as oldie, but I saw that Terminator Dark Fate popped up on the Amazon video the other day, and I just had to watch it because
that's the newest one, right?
It's the newest one. It's the one that plays like the newest Halloween, where it tries to ignore the other sequels and says just the first 2 count.
Right. It's the new Terminator 3.
Right, the new Terminator 3. I remember really not liking Terminator 3 when it came out back in the day. And I really enjoyed this one. I think it is considered a box office bomb because it was one of those very expensive movies that made nowhere near the money it took to make it and publicize it. But I really enjoyed just how Terminator it felt like. Just like you kind of had that sense of dread. I think Terminator 3 really played a little bit too much with like the laughs and the jokes and like Arnold as this comic character. But no, Arnold comes back in this movie as just a I don't know, more of a supporting role, and I think he just really does well as that supporting role. I don't want to give a lot away other than it's like Linda Hamilton's back, Arnold's back, and it's kind of a similar story to the other Terminator movies where you need to protect this asset from a Terminator. It's like that tried and true formula that worked so well for the first two. I thought worked really well for Terminator Dark Fate. I really don't want to say too much about it because there's a lot of little plot points here and there. But yeah, solid movie. It's on Prime right now.
Huh.
You can check it out. I was hooked just watching the first few minutes. I thought, oh, okay, I'm into it. And I think the standout to me, other than Arnold, of course, but he's on it that much, is Mackenzie Davis as like the future protector, Grace. And she just kicks so much ass. So much ass.
You know, I started watching Dark Fate a while back when it first came out, and for some reason I had to stop, and it wasn't because I wasn't enjoying it, but something came up or I had to turn it off or whatever, and I only had gotten like 20 minutes in, and I never picked it up and finished it, so, and I kind of forgot about that, so you're inspiring me to finish my watch.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That's exciting. Looking forward to it, yeah.
Sweet, and they do kick the old score in now and again. That dun 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 dun.
Yes, dun 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 dun. I love that. Dun, dun, dun. Love that.
Yeah. So, speaking of loving kicking in the old score, like wow, Jeff, where can people find you on the old Twitter sphere, Twitterscape?
Yeah, just get on Twitter and then search for wow. And you'll find Jeff Glover at Carl_Hungus314. Come check me out there. I'm on the Twitter, occasionally tweeting or retweeting things.
My name is Carl Ishbin Expert.
John, where can we find all things Predator Minute?
Well, before I do that, let me just take literally 1 second to be serious for a moment. In that this podcast will be coming out just a few days before the 2020 election.
Oh, shit. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. So let me just double check. I believe the election is the 3rd?
3rd, yep.
Yes.
Everyone go vote.
Yeah, this will be coming out Halloween weekend. So all fun and games aside, after you party up in Halloween, or maybe, how about a better idea, before you party up in Halloween, make sure you're hearing this after it, so yeah. Whatever. Make sure you're going out to vote. Make sure you're making your voice heard, whatever that looks like in your state. Here in Washington, we just mail the suckers in. It's nice. I just run across the street, drop that ballot in the library mail ballot box, and I am good to go. I already did that, I think, last week, as soon as it came out on the 13th.
Every state should just go to statewide mail-in ballots, dude. Washington State started doing that, 10, 15 years ago? Mm-hmm. Greatest thing ever. Like, the ballots just come, nice. The ballot with the ballot booklet just comes to your house. You can sit down with a cup of coffee or a can of beer. You fill it in.
The boys,
yeah, my friends. You fill it out, fold that shit up, put it back in your mailbox. Done. You don't have to miss work. You don't have to wait in line. Like, I do not understand why every state doesn't do this. It's ridiculous. It's so easy. And anyway, that's my diatribe. But go out and vote. Figure it out. What you do in your state, figure it out and go vote, please.
Please vote. Vote early and vote often. That doesn't really make sense. You can't vote often. Don't do that. That's fraud.
That's fraud.
Do not commit mail fraud.
Vote hard. Vote with your dick. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
I don't even know what to say with that.
Don't do that. You'll get in trouble. That's indecent exposure. Don't do that.
Right. That's how Trump became president. Come on. Voted a big dick. Good job.
Just grab him by the dick.
Grab him by the dick.
Wow. Wow. Wait, are you?
Wait, can we talk
weren't you telling us where we could find all things Predator Minute?
I was about to, and then we went all dick. That was weird.
We went full dick.
You never go full dick.
Never go full dick.
Oh, man. Okay, so where were we? You can find Predator Minute on Twitter at Predator Minute. You can also email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com, and you can join the Facebook lively discussion group, The Predator Minute listeners' palapa targets the center of the palapa.
Targets the center of the palapa. What?
Of the palapa.
Yes. Palapa.
Targets the center of the palapa!
And gosh, I think we did it. For everything Predator Minute 100, I'm John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And until next time,
stick around.
Stick around.
Stick around. Gross.
Gross.